This week's presentation, LCS, AGM, and Future Planning, presented by Larry Barnhardt and Steve Balfour. As two of the leaders of LCS, they would like to offer us some insights of the upcoming annual general meeting and solicit our thoughts. The focus will be on where we were pre-COVID, where we've been during COVID, and where we are heading. This is our opportunity to offer our thoughts on anything Lake Chapala Society. People may not be aware, and I was not aware of this, that over 1,000 people per week visit LCS, and there are approximately 100 activities that take place in and around LCS each week. Larry serves as the chair of the campus committee of the board, and Steve is the president. The board has been extremely busy for the past 726 days during COVID. My God, that's why it felt so long. We have a mic here, so there's going to be opportunities for you to ask questions, for you to answer questions, and so we'll use this mic up here. Usually I kind of run around, but we're thinking maybe a lot of you will have questions. So join me in welcoming Steve and Larry.
Thank you, Kat. Everybody hear me okay? Okay, thank you. Good morning and welcome. On behalf of the entire board of directors and our LCS community, let me welcome you to Open Circle. Open Circle has been a signature program here on this campus for nearly 2 decades. Thanks to Kat, Phil Rylette, David Byerly, Margaret Van Avery. We have been able to participate together on this. Let's give them a round of applause. This is the second time in 10 years that LCS has presented here at Open Circle as something that Steve would like to make an annual event. Throughout this session, we're going to be asking questions to engage the audience and to get a general feel of who is in the audience, as well as gain your insights on our programs, services, activities, and events, and also our plans for our campus. So be thinking about what you love about LCS, and also what is it that you believe we should be thinking of in terms of adding new programs into the future. We have counters, and Steve's going to be doing some scribing in terms of keeping notes of what you say as best we can. So please bear with us as we proceed. So let's begin to know a bit more about you. How many of you are from the U.S.? Please raise your hand. Okay. How many of you are from Canada? Please raise your hand. Do we have people from Mexico here? Okay, one. Okay. Are there 2? Okay, thank you. Are there? Have you come to Lakeside from countries other than North America? Beyond that, okay. We have one back there. Okay, thank you. Okay, how many of you have been coming to Lakeside for 2 years or less? Please raise your hand. Okay. How about 2 to 5 years? Five to 15 years? Ooh. How about more than 50? Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Keep your hands up for 5 to 15.
Thank you.
Okay, more than 15? 2, 3. Okay, okay. And for those of you that are more than 15, are you more than 20? Okay, 3. Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Where do you currently reside here at Lakeside? Ajijic, including West Ajijic out to La Floresta, please raise your hand. How about San Antonio and Riberas and in that direction? How about, oh, go ahead. Sorry. How about Chapala and east of Chapala? 3. Okay. How about San Juan Coastla and west of San Juan Coastla? And other than LA and, was it Scotland? Anyone from outside of Lakeside, let's say Esqualacan or Guadalajara? Okay. By the way, how many of you have walked to campus this morning? Please raise your hand. Walk here, yes, from your home here, yeah. Thank you, thank you. How many of you live here full-time? And of you that live here full-time, how many of you are employed, either full or part-time? Okay. Of our snowbirds, how many of you are here 3 months or less? Okay. How about 4 months or more? Okay, thank you. How many of you are current members of LCS? Please raise your hand.
Oh my.
Okay, we'll count for a while here. Okay, got it. Okay, and how many of you are volunteers at LCS? Please raise your hand. Thank you. How many of you attend Open Circle on a regular basis? And the last question is, other than Open Circle, how often do you come to the LCS campus? 3 times or more per week? Please raise your hand. Steve, did you raise your hand? Okay. How about once a week?
Once a week.
And how about once a month? Okay. Very good. Thank you so very much. Thank you for that information, and we'll be seeking more info in just a moment. Let me share a bit about LCS 2.0. In 2018, Terry Vidal, the former executive director of the Lake Chapala Society, asked me to help out with a master redevelopment planning task force, which was to conduct a comprehensive campus-wide improvement initiative. The task force included our executive director, the entire board of directors, and members of the different standing committees that oversee programs, campus, community engagement, fundraising, finance, etc. This task force met weekly for 3 months. We, most importantly, we listened to our members. We reviewed 2 decades worth of studies, surveys, focus groups, plans. We discussed a lot of options and alternatives, and eventually came up with a set of recommendations. We presented those recommendations to the board of directors, who approved them unanimously in March of 2019, and it was later dubbed LCS 2.0. Copies of LCS 2.0 are available, so if you are interested in one, please take one per family. I think we have some up here. We'll hand them out at the end. This plan was focused on improving, modernizing, reinventing, and transforming LCS. By taking the very best of what LCS 1 was and combining it with 3 overarching principles. Number 1 was creating a culture of continuous quality improvement with an emphasis on customer service. Second was to expand the use of information technology. And the third was to create creative collaboration between and among the foreign community and the Mexican community. In fact, this is where Steve and I first met during the work we did. LCS 2.0 outlines 42 far-reaching goals that we hope to accomplish in the next 10 years. With COVID, it may be a little bit longer. Many of these goals have already been accomplished. At Tuesday's AGM, we're going to be talking about specific accomplishments that we did in the past 12 months. Steve will now share where LCS was before COVID, where LCS was during COVID, and where LCS is now heading. Steve was our executive director for a year prior to being elected president. Please help me welcome Steve Balfour.
Thank you, Mr. Larry. A little bit about myself as well. I've been in the nonprofit sector for about 40 years, a little bit over 40 years, for the American Cancer Society, one of the mega nonprofits out there in the world, but I've also worked for a great many smaller grassroots organizations similar to this, and varying pretty much all sizes throughout my career. So I'd like to ask you a couple questions like Larry did there, and ask people, anybody here that has worked as an employee in a nonprofit in your lifetime? All right, looking very good. We've got some good hands. And did you mostly work, if you raise your hands, if you mostly worked on the service end, so working with clients directly, or support systems, case managers, things like that, versus the business side of it, of fundraising, all that. So did you work more in the client service areas? Yeah? And anybody there that's worked in the raising funds or that level of the business side of things? Great, thank you so much. How many of you have served on a board of directors at any point in time in your life? Any board of directors? Yeah, a few more hands there we get. How about this one? Anybody volunteer with any organization at all throughout your entire life? There we go, almost every hand went up. As we can see, volunteers are the heart and soul of any nonprofit. It's what makes the nonprofit possible. It could not work if we had to pay everybody for every position. It just wouldn't exist. So we really depend upon volunteers here at the Lake Chapala Society. We have over 300 volunteers that are managed by Barbara Merchant, and Glorian has played a big role in helping us develop the handbook for the volunteer program, as well as Suzanne. Suzanne, there you go. And Sandy Britton also worked on that. So we have a great little manual. We're working on some trainings. Luis does meetings with the various volunteer groups and everything. And that's what keeps us moving forward. Volunteerism is vital. Now, nonprofits in general. In the United States, I can use those numbers because that's where I worked for so many years in nonprofit. Right now, there are 1.8 million nonprofits in the United States. Probably the biggest percentage of those are smaller nonprofits. Okay, the bigger ones, the smaller number, things like the Alzheimer's Association, the American Cancer Society, Muscular Dystrophy. There's so many great organizations up there, but the majority of them are small organizations. Here in Mexico, nonprofits are still in their infancy stages. Traditionally in Mexico, nonprofit, people giving to support and help others, has really been done through the church, heavily duty. There's some children's programs, other programs granted that have been around for a while, but the church has been the fundamental part of the doing things for the community here. But that is greatly changing now. There's an association for fundraising professionals here in Mexico that Luis, our executive director, is the president of that right now. And so that's sort of a new entity, and there's really, it's in its infancy, and there's so much that will be changing in the nonprofit field going forward. A lot of people don't realize nonprofits are a business, okay? It's a classification of a business. And people get comfortable, well, it's not, no, it really is a business. And that's how it's looked at in the United States. The IRS recognizes these 1.8 millions as businesses under a certain classification, nonprofit, tax-exempt status. I don't know this for a fact, but somebody has suggested to me there's over 80 charities just right here in Ajijic alone. And some of them are still trying to find their way, and some are collaborating and working together. COVID has caused issues with some of them. That's natural. As far as how a nonprofit operates, it starts with, in our organization, we're a membership organization. So the membership is our sort of our overarching umbrella of the whole organization. The membership elects the board of directors. That's what we'll be doing this Tuesday at our annual general meeting, 10 a.m. right here. If you're a member, please come and join us. If you're not a member, you can still come, you just can't vote, okay? So there's the board of directors. In our case, it's a minimum of 9, maximum of 13 board of directors. And they have the fiduciary responsibility for the organization to keep it solvent, keep it moving forward. Within that structure of the board of directors, there's the executive committee. Most nonprofits have an executive committee of the president, the vice president, secretary, and treasurer. They manage the executive director, they hire the executive director, make the recommendation to the board as far as appointing to that position, and they oversee the businessy ends of things. There's also, in addition to the board of directors, there's subcommittees. Now, subcommittees are where the real work is done. And that's a misnomer. People think you go to the board meeting, that's where all the decisions are made. No, that's where the committees report back what they've been accomplishing since the last board meeting. So if you want to get involved in our organization or any charity here in town, it really helps to start by getting involved in one of the committees. And that's where the activity happens, that's where you get to see everything that's going on, and that's where you get to make serious decisions and recommendations to the board. So when you go from the board, the executive committee, the subcommittees, then you have an executive director. The executive director is a salaried position, and he is responsible for the day-to-day operations of the organization. It's not a sole proprietorship, it's not his own business, it's not his. You know, he works for the board of directors, but he makes all the day-to-day decisions of what needs to be done, maintenance and managing the staff and so on and so forth. And we have 14 staff here all together, which includes our director of education, our director of development, our 2 finance people, 5 housekeepers and 2 gardeners, and the graphics person, Dimitri, that works very hard putting everything together for the campus. So there's a lot of activity that goes on with that staff. And then the 300 volunteers all have substantial roles. Some volunteers commit to a set schedule every week. They might work every Monday or Tuesday and Thursday or whatever here in the office or in the docents, which they're... What are the docents changing their name to, Greg?
Amigos.
Amigos. The docents changed their name to Amigos. So they're the group that greet you as you come in the front gate and check you in. The check-in is not a security checkpoint at all. Anybody is welcome on our campus anytime the gates are open. You can just come in. They ask your membership number. That's just to make it quicker. If you know your membership number, they already have your name. They don't need your contact information. If you don't have a membership number, no problem. We just need your name and one point of contact, either an email or a phone number, which allows us, if there's something that goes, an outbreak of COVID on the campus on a given day, we can contact people and let them know so they can go get tested or whatever the case may be. So that's all those checkpoints are, but it gives us a tremendous amount of information. And that's how we know over 1,000 people come through our gates each week. And we have 100 programs going on to support those 1,000 people, so that's great. Before COVID, we had a lot going on here. We started more than 60-something years ago, the organization, and Neil James, who we all, have tremendous respect for. This is her home over here, the Neil James tree, very important part of our, sort of our sacred property here on campus. And she started many programs, including the Children's Art Program, Needle Pushers, and others that were very important to our organization. And volunteers, as we've gone through these years, have started more and more programs. So many of us know about the board games, exercise class, dance class, all those different things, but some of the things we do for the Mexican community, I think, are not as well known. So I'd like to list a few of those. The Children's Art Program is obviously one of our most sacred programs here at the campus. There's a mural to the Children's Art Program in the back wall over there. Before COVID, they were having about 80 or more people per Saturday coming in and learning from masters of art here in the community. Most of those of which were brought up by Neil James. So it's really a great program. We also have the only Spanish language book library in Ahi, the Wilkes Center, just up the street here. English is a second language. Pre-COVID, we'd have about 500 people per semester that would register for English as a second language, ESL. And so that's a very popular program. It's not about preparing somebody to go to Harvard. It's about preparing people for day-to-day interactions and activities. And so this helps people that are, whether they're waiters or contractors or housekeepers or just people in the community or people that are trying to do a little bit better in school. The ESL class is a very important part of our program. We also give out a good amount of money in student loans, if you will, or student scholarships almost. It's really a student aid program is what it's called. And we support students going to various, further their education at the tech school, a whole bunch of different other schools, University of Guadalajara, what have you. That's an important program. We do a lot of support and collaboration with the tech school up on the Libramento. It's a great program here. We do a lot of interactions with them. They provide us with a lot of our volunteers and different people that help here on campus, and we provide them with some instructional program, and we're also talking to them about doing some fundraising for them as well. Thanks to this gentleman over here, not only is he the godfather of the LCS 2.0, but he also is the person that brought to fruition the Mexican Advisory Council in this past year. That's made up of leaders in the Mexican community that serve on the Mexican Advisory Council, and they're in their infancy getting started, but they were going to help guide the board on how we be more inclusive on our campus. One of my favorite things, as Kat knows, is I'm anxious for the day where we can have some form of these open circle presentations in Spanish as well. Whether it's a big screen that has the text scrolling or earpieces, that's a lot more expensive. We don't, unfortunately, have the money for that. But we're looking at what are ways that we can simulcast in Spanish as well as in English. We have the chess club, which is Roberto, who was the Zapateria up in the plaza. Many of you know him. And he does a chess club that brings together retired expats along with local Mexican youth, and they play chess on Saturdays together, and they're working on a tournament now. We have empowerment programs for the local community. Over here, if you've seen the white coats in the back house there, we have every Sunday morning nursing program that takes place over there. We have the Al-Anon in Spanish. We have a women's embroidery group that on Monday night meets over here in the Ken Gosh, and they make clothing for families in need. We collaborate with the Ahig Society of the Arts. Needle pushers is a very important part of the legacy of Neil James, where they make clothing also for families in need here. And we're big supporters of Cruz Roja. When I was a kid, I was very involved in Red Cross, so that's near and dear to my heart. So this past June, we did a concert that raised over 1 million pesos for the Cruz Roja in Chapala. That's an example of some of the things we do. We also have a big seat at the table where we have a good relationship with the current mayor, with the governor's office, so state, local level, as well as with the U.S. consulate and the Canadian consulate. We have good relationships as well. During COVID, we were forced to make some changes, and unfortunately, you know, it was 723 days ago, I think, that COVID really hit us here. We started canceling programs. During that time, we lost 44% of our membership. So you can imagine in the past, our membership, the income from membership was an important part of our operations here. When that cuts down 44%, we lost all of the programs during the COVID period, the beginning of COVID. So no income from programs, no income from the bus trips. So we had to do other things. We did an annual appeal the first year in 2020 where we raised $2.2 million by monthly emails that got sent out to our friends, donors, and supporters and what have you. So that was astronomical how our supporters really stepped up to the plate with 2.2 million peso donations in 2020. Here more recently, but this year, we're focused on Concerts in the Park. It's the stage here for Concert in the Park. And right now, we've raised over 3 million pesos with Concert in the Park to date, so they just started a year ago. As I say, a little over 1 million of that went to the Red Cross. But mostly, I'd like to give a plug for our upcoming annual general meeting, which is Tuesday, 10 a.m. Please join us there. See all that's going on. We have some videos. Larry will be doing a much longer presentation, and I'll be showing some graphs with different numbers and what have you. So now I'd like to turn it back over to my good friend Larry.
Am I back on? Okay. Well, are you ready to give us more input? Okay. At our peak, as we mentioned, at the peak prior to COVID, we had 155 programs, services, activities, and events. Since COVID has allowed us to open our doors, we currently are offering 100, as was just noted. So here's another opportunity for input. In addition to Open Circle, what are your favorite programs? In other words, what brings you to the LCS campus? What do you look forward to participating in? Please raise your hand. I will call on you. Then shout them out. I will repeat them so Steve, you describe this, okay? So he can begin to just list what your favorite programs are. So, ready? Give me your favorite program. What brings you to LCS? Concerts in the park. Back there? Okay. Other favorites?
The library.
Library.
The science talks.
Repeat.
The science talks.
Hot science.
Hot science.
Okay. Yes?
Dance.
I'm sorry.
Dance.
Dance, okay. Margo? Exercise. Discussion group.
Open circle.
Open circle.
Coffee place.
What?
The coffee place.
Coffee.
Gossip.
Bridge.
Bridge. What are the other favorite?
Pottery.
Pottery, okay, thank you. Other favorite programs, back in the gazebo.
Jazz.
Jazz, okay, thank you.
The legal support.
Legal support, thank you. Other favorite programs? Movies, okay, we had that before COVID.
Cancer screening clinic.
Cancer screening, thank you. Other favorite programs?
TED Talk.
TED Talks, we had that that was one of my favorite ones before COVID. Yeah. Any last ones?
Line dance.
Line dancing,
Children's art.
children's art program,
Embroidery class.
embroidery class. Going once?
Intercambio.
Intercam, ATM, yes, thank you. What brings you to campus? What are your favorite things? Anything, Greg?
Free internet.
Re-internet, okay, thank you. Okay. The beauty of the property. Well, thank you so much for that. Okay, the next, go ahead. Mail service, okay, very good, okay. Any last thoughts? Do we have a hand back there? Okay,
Not so much ATM, but the Spanish classes.
the Spanish classes, okay, very good, okay. Well, there's a lot of things that we do and a lot of things that are favorite that draw people to the Lake Chapala Society. The next question is going to be a little bit challenging. What are some of the new programs, services, and activities and events that you would like to see happen here? In other words, what's missing here at LCS that would be beneficial to our members and beneficial to the community at large?
It seems the Lake Chapala has activities for Mexican children. But most of us who come here are adults and we don't have children.
Okay.
We want to create some kind of activities
Okay.
to interact with adult community.
Awesome. Okay,
Like
so
dancing.
more programs for Mexican adults. Thank you so much. Tech classes. Thank you.
More support for the lake in front of us and stronger advocates for lake rehabilitation.
Okay, helping with the lake. Okay, thank you so much, Greg. Thanks, Susan.
How about a Neil James Museum?
Neil James Museum. Thank you. Okay, recycling at LCS property. Other new things you'd like to see us begin? A program on aging. Thank you. Back in the gazebo.
I'd like to see you go back to being open until 5. I really.
Okay, opening up our hours, expanding our hours. Thank you so much. Okay, right here.
A resource for your senior shared housing.
Senior shared housing, a resource for that. Thank you so much. Other new things that you think would be beneficial to our members or the lakeside in general? Other thoughts?
Well, as you were talking about the children's art program being here on Saturday, I was wondering if there was any companion programs that could be for health screening for Mexicans or classes for parents to take while their children are at the program.
Okay. Did you hear that? Assistance for children that are attending for, okay, or their parents. Okay. Right here.
Some kind of program that would act as an umbrella to bring in more healing modalities that are other than Western.
Okay. Kind of health and wellness outside of Western culture. Okay. Back here again?
It seems that the concerts on the park are artists from out of town. And there are plenty of local artists, singers, to promote them in here too.
Okay, okay, including more local talent in our concerts in the park.
More integration with the Mexican community, and I know that Steve mentioned about putting up boards with instant translation, simultaneous translation. I think that's
Okay, more integration with the Mexican community. Maureen?
Classes on post-life planning.
Post-life planning, more classes on that. Greg?
Identification of our botanical richness and tours that highlight this heritage garden that we have here.
Okay, more focus on the Heritage Garden, plant identification, tours, back in the gazebo.
For opportunities with the English language program at Wilkes, for example, with the English community who want to practice Spanish. So have an intercambio, those linkages. So those Mexicans that learn English would like to have half an hour, for example, of English, and I would appreciate that to practice my Spanish.
More interrelationship between the Wilkes
Okay.
ESL program and
Okay.
the English, and the people wanting to take Spanish, so that there's a conversational opportunity between the two programs. Do I have that?
Okay, okay,
Did I get that?
okay. Other, okay,
Somebody up behind.
Suggestions on how to help relieve our serious traffic problems.
okay,
How to address community issues.
okay,
I think how to address community issues would be great.
okay.
Since I have the mic, I can do
Did
whatever
you
I
get
want.
that? Okay. Well, thank you, Kat. Great.
more culture classes, more Mexican culture classes.
More Mexican culture classes, thank you. Other thoughts that you had running through your head? Going once, going twice? As you walk out the gate and you think about another one, please don't hesitate to let us know. You just drop us a line, okay? Marilyn, do you have a question? Okay.
No, I'm shading my eyes.
Okay, shading your eyes, okay, okay. Well, thank you. And thank you for your input. This is just the beginning. This year, the Lake Chapala Society is conducting a comprehensive needs assessment to review these offerings and determine the types of programs, activities, services, and events that we want to continue, do more of, do less of, discontinue, and start anew. Things that we have never thought about before. George Rackford, our board secretary, has probably done more thinking on the idea of the needs assessment in terms of how best to proceed. At our upcoming board retreat, we're going to be reconstituting all the committees, but more in particular the program committee that will be actually doing the work on the needs assessment and looking for volunteers who have the interest and the experience in program planning, particularly with people that have experience in teaching youth and adults, librarians, facilitators, program, school and college administrators, event planners, and the like. If you're interested and have the experience and want more information, please let us know. You can fill out an online application, just clicking on the link within the LCS website, or you can contact Steve, Louise, or Alfredo Adana, who is our educational director, for more information. Next, I'd like to talk a bit about the campus. LCS began in 1955 and has been here on this location since 1983. For the past 2 decades, the campus planning has been focusing on building new buildings. On the north end of campus, we were looking to create the Learning Center that would house our library, classrooms, and meeting spaces. On the south end of campus, we were looking at building the Sala Grande, which is for larger events. LCS 2.0 includes new buildings as a part of our long-range plan, and it will continue to do that. But for now, new buildings have been put on the back burner. Our current plan is to take better care of what we already have. by updating our campus master plan that will focus on our existing buildings and grounds. While beautiful, and I think everyone would note that this is a beautiful campus, pretty much every aspect of LCS campus is old and needs a lot more tender, loving care. As an example, the veranda on the Neil James property nearly collapsed a couple years ago and needed extensive remodeling. The paver bricks on the Neil James patio and many of our walkways are creating a severe liability issue and is our most immediate and highest priority for repair. Our computer software is so out of date that some of our computer programs will not run on anything newer than a Windows 7, and that's no longer supported by Microsoft, so heaven forbid if we have a technology meltdown. And sad to say, one of our koi ponds leaks 1 foot per day. Okay. Because of our limited budget, combined with a lack of staff and volunteers with the necessary skill sets, routine and preventive maintenance has been a low priority, and therefore not done. Remember, maintenance is fixing things before it breaks, and repair is fixing things after it breaks. And unfortunately, because of our limited budget, most of our repairs have been done on a shoestring. Zip ties, baling wire, and duct tape have been our modality of choice, and of course, they are a temporary fix. Phase 1 of our campus master plan is on assessing the condition of our entire campus. This includes our buildings, the Neil James residence, the South Campus, the gazebo, the Wilkes Educational Center, the library, and anything that has a roof on it, okay? Along with our infrastructure, our electricity, our water, our sewer, and our communication systems. And also our gardens and our landscaping and hardscaping. We want to take a look at the entire heritage gardens. We want to take a look at our primitive walls, as well as our sidewalks, our walkways, our entryways, our patios, our open spaces, as well as our signature things like murals, ponds, and fountains, as well as artwork. Last year, we put together a campus master planning work team that's headed up by Michael Pumphrey. He's a longtime member of LCS and a licensed architect. He's going to be working hand in hand with Louise Pacheco, our executive director, who together are going to be expanding this team with people of interest and experience in doing these kinds of conditions, assessments, including architects, developers, building contractors, landscape architects, master gardeners, engineers with specialty in mechanical, electrical, civil, plumbing, structural, and hopefully someone with computer-aided design experience and word processing. If you are interested in this and have experience in any of these skill sets, please don't hesitate to contact us. Again, you can fill out the online application and let us know that way, or you can contact either Michael or Louise. Phase 2 of the campus master plan is to take the findings of the building conditions assessment and put them together. Oops, let me get rid of this here. Put it up here. So we're going to be taking the findings of the buildings conditions assessment and the comprehensive needs assessment to guide us in the development of a campus master plan. This plan will This plan will have LCS identify and prioritize campus improvement projects that will bring our existing buildings and grounds up to some level of acceptability, as well as make better use of our outdoor spaces and our interior spaces. Over the next 5 years, we'll be executing these campus improvement projects in harmony with our existing architecture as well as our surrounding environments. This is a major shift in our focus. And so what I'd like to do is have a show of hands from the audience to say, how supportive are you in LCS shifting to enhancing and improving our buildings and grounds? Please raise your hand. Okay, how many of you are not supportive of this move? Okay, last question here is, how many are supportive of LCS delaying our building construction projects? Please raise your hand.
Delaying?
Delaying the building for now. And how many of you are not supportive of delaying construction? Well, thank you so much for your input, and thank you so much for your support. As we move forward, we will be providing periodic updates of both the program assessment as well as the